Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We knew it was going to be bad, but this really has turned out to be just a historic example of what a pandemic virus can do. It's just been a bad time all around. We absolutely need to avoid the urge to say, oh, everything is going great, which it is going in the right direction. But once you declare victory, you know, that metaphor that people say, if you're going for a touchdown, don't spike the ball on the 5-yard line. Wait until you get into the end zone. And we're not in the end zone yet.
No, we're not. We're never going to be in the end zone. You guys realize that with this thing. This thing's never going anywhere. It's endemic. We're years away from getting to the point where there could be zero. Years away. The question is, we have to decide, where is the end zone? Are we playing Canadian football or are we playing American football? So I need to know that. Because you keep moving the goalposts. That's the issue people have with the coronavirus and with what goes on locally as well as on the federal level. The end zone always seems to move. The field goal, the post, they continue to move. I think people just want to know, all right, so where exactly is the end? When's the finish line? Right? It's 26.2 miles. It's not 26.5 miles. I'm not moving that back. It's not 26.8 miles. It's not 27.2 miles, right? It's 100 yards from goal line to goal line. It's not 110. Tell us exactly where it is so we have an understanding. All right, this is where it is. I feel like we're on a trip and somebody kind of circled a blue house in this area. See if you can find it. You're like, well, there's 1,000 blue houses. Well, there you go. That's the way I think a lot of us feel like this thing is going. We just kind of want to know, where do you guys think this is going? Because you're always doom and gloom. So I think it's a fair question to ask. Kids back in school see it, and they're excited, and they're happy.
There's this new study from researchers in Massachusetts, just out this week. It found no significant difference in coronavirus spreading in schools where there was 6 feet of distancing versus 3 feet of distancing. But that 6-foot requirement, that's one of the main hurdles to reopening school.
What the CDC wants to do is they want to accumulate data, and when the data shows that there is an ability to be 3 feet, they will act accordingly.
Okay. Well, there's data everywhere. This is what I talk about when it comes to science. There's always some moving goalposts with data because it's never settled. Science, remember, this was 6 feet. Then there was, well, really, if you really want to do well, it's got to be 12 feet. Like, what? 12 feet? Now, it could be 3 feet? Is it 3 feet only for kids, or is it for adults? Or is it just for kids working with adults because of the teacher, student relationship? I'm just curious there. I mean, we got questions to ask. But when you move the goalposts, when everything seems to always be changing, there's the frustration. People like clarity. They want some stability. They want to know if you look, I may not like what you have to tell me, but you're telling me something, and I trust you enough because you've been right that we're going to go with it. Every time you tell me something, sometimes later you tell me something completely different, and neither of them seem to be right. Or sometimes they're both right, and people are like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
So any mayors,
it won't be very long, I promise you.
Any mayors or governors or school district heads listening right now, if they hear you right now and they say, well, it sounds like Dr. Fauci thinks 3 feet is good enough, that will enable us to open our school. That's right?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of official guidelines.
All right.
Just stay tuned. It's going to come, and it's going to come soon.
Frustration. Dr. Fauci there. 3 feet, 6 feet, 12 feet, 18 feet, wear a plastic thing, don't wear a plastic thing, put 4 mask on, put no mask on. Yes, we're going to be able to take mask off soon. No, we're not going to take mask off until we get everybody vaccinated. Speaking of vaccination, Trump on Fox, because, well, where else is he going to be?
When you go to the COVID issue, we did a great job. We get very little credit for it. I closed the country far earlier. Dr. Fauci and Birx and all of these people that frankly made nothing but mistakes. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to close it to China. I closed the border to China. I closed the border to Europe long before they wanted me to do it. But the big thing is I've always felt it was the most important is the vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine. That is always the most important thing. And we have the vaccine. And guess what? He's even saying, take it. Take it. Talked to a couple doctors, took some time off, and they're like, look, some of this, I mean, you go and look at a lot of this stuff, it's safer than some of the food that we eat. So when people are freaking out about, oh, my God, you can take this thing and it's got this, that, and the other, are there going to be allergic reactions? Are there going to be some issues? Is there going to be misinformation? Of course there is. Welcome to the world of what we live, which is fear and craziness and chaos, and the loudest wheel gets that there grease.
We started manufacturing the vaccine before we really knew it worked. We saved many, many months and millions of lives by doing that. It works incredibly well, 95%, maybe even more than that. It works incredibly well.
Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would. I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. And we have our freedoms, and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine, it's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works.
Yeah, it works. Get it? Great. But people aren't. People are scared. We're going to touch on that. There's lots of information, misinformation. And yes, Trump said it. A lot of people have voted for him. There's that. Biden come out when I was on vacation, took those days off. It's like, well, you're more patriotic if you get it. Look, I understand the hesitancy of some people. Not all of it is because, oh, I think that you're taking away my freedoms. Some of it is like, you know what, I want to take a look at this. I want to see how this goes. Not saying I won't take it, just don't know which one I'm going to take. And so many people like, fine, don't take it. When you get sick and die, that'll be on you. Well, what if I got sick and lived? Do I get a present? Is there a trophy? Because it seems to be that if you don't take it because you're a little hesitant for whatever reason, some of it's crazy, but some of it is because you have real questions. The whole thought process is this. Well, if you don't get it, that's fine. You must hate America and your fellow man. You're not patriotic. Fine, that's it. And the victory is I will dance on your grave, is what some people are like. And if I get it and survive, do I get to come over your house and take stuff? God. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Hope you're doing well. Where will we be? How fast are we going to get there? I think we're going to get there faster than I think people realize. I think some states are going to get there much faster than others, but we're on our way. That's for sure. Which is great because it helps in a lot of different ways, including things like the economy, which we need to make sure this thing keeps moving forward fast. Speaking of the economy, when it comes to things like your taxes.
Americans are getting a reprieve on their taxes. The IRS backlog trying to process all those stimulus payments is now extending the tax filing deadline from April 15th to May 17th. The extension applies only to federal taxes. State deadlines may vary.
So you got that there, which is great. That's a good thing. But we still have issues where we're pumping tons of money into this thing. How much of this is going to where it needs to go to? And we've got questions, and I do, especially about things like inflation, which is fair to have. Right? We're giving out tons of money. And I'm asking the question, as a lot of people I think have been, even people who are fine with big government and big spending, they're asking serious questions as well about, hey, where's all this money going to? Because not a lot's going to the people comparatively to a lot of these other things. And people are frustrated. We've already given a ton of it away. And loans that are essentially here. Take this money, keep your people employed, and we're not going to ask for you to bring it back and give it back to us. We're not going to ask you for any of those things. Now we're going on our third stimulus, sixth stimulus, third one where money comes to the people. And if you think that this is the last, you're fooling yourself.
Proponents of the economic lockdowns promised it would be just 15 days to flatten the curve. Instead of 15 days, the lockdown has now gone on for over a year. Early on in the pandemic, as we all remember, there were projections that hospitals would be full and have to turn away people. Medical equipment was in short supply. Businesses were closing. What they hoped would be on a temporary basis as governments started locking down their economies and telling people to stay home. At that time, When programs like PPP were created, no one was under the belief that we would still be doing this a year later with no end in sight.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like there's an end in sight at times. And people are frustrated. And the stopgap measures aren't working, I think, the way that some people thought it was going to work. And part of that is because you're still in lockdown. Clarity. That's what people are looking for in life, clarity. You know, I took 3 days off, enjoyed myself, played a lot of golf, talked to a lot of people. You're out there and you're on the range and stuff. And they're all frustrated. And most of them are older than me. I'm 50. Not young, but I'm not old. And they were older than me, and they were talking about how frustrated they are. One guy's got a couple restaurants. He's like, I don't know where I'm going one day to the next. One day it's like you're open. The next day it's you're closed. Talked to a guy who's got a couple gyms. He's like, I've done everything in my power to try to do the things I was supposed to do to continue to be able to offer services. So offering all these services by doing all of these extra steps. And then he goes, the next thing you know, you're shut down. Then you're open again, but you can only operate at this capacity. People want clarity. When it's nebulous, it's cloudy, there's no clarity, they're frustrated. And they're getting more and more frustrated. And yes, we're a few days past flattening the curve, stopping the spread, and all of that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Happy Thursday. Hope all is well with you. Good stuff. We're going to talk a little immigration. And China, something that we've been on for a while. And Bill Maher had the take that we've been taking over and over again, and we're going to continue to take. Talk about that. Car Shield. You need your car safe and sound? Yes, you do. Little brother's getting a new used car, if you will, and he's paying cash. I'm like, dude, just get Car Shield. There's no warranty. You don't have to worry about that. That's what this is about. Help you and protect you from covered repairs. Car Shield's great. Over 1 million customers that they have helped nationwide. #1 auto protection company in the country. 24/7 roadside assistance. A rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop, you choose it. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. Find out what you can have protected. Maybe your car's a little newer. You want to protect the electronics. Maybe it's a little bit older. You want to protect the engine. They've got plans start as low as $99 a month. Call 800-665-2157. Use code Benson. Save 10% or go to carshield.com. Carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo!
New troubling details emerging from the tragedy in Atlanta.
Some guy came in and shoot the gun, so everybody heard the gunshot.
The man suspected of murdering 8 people in 3 separate shootings at spas in the Atlanta metro area has allegedly admitted to the killings. Authorities say 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long carried out the killings, blaming his, quote, addiction to sex as the motive. 6 of the women Long is accused of killing are Asian, and police say if they had not caught Long, he planned to carry on his killing spree at similar businesses in Florida.
So apparently he's, quote unquote, a sex addict? Is that what? And you know that, like, the minute, this is the thing, I saw this pop up my phone, I'm out, and I'm like, oh, God. And I know the first thing is going to happen. It's like, okay, was this a hate crime? Was it based on this? Was he a Trump supporter? It's like the first thing. It's like, was he a Trump supporter? Because if he's a Trump supporter, and if he's part of the Oath Keepers or Patriot Prayer or any of these groups, then there is something we tie back to Trump, and this will make a story. Or was he mentally ill? He's a sex addict? You got to find all these things out, but that's where everything goes. It's like, how can we twist the story to make it the thing that people we can catch the eyeballs of the fans that we're going for? I was talking to Anthony, producer Anthony, earlier. He's like, man, it's kind of a just quiet week. I said, no, it's not. I said, you know what it is? This is pre-Trump week. Pre-Trump, this is kind of a normal news cycle. With Trump, it was 24/7 in your face, because by the time you went to bed, they were still arguing about something he had said earlier in the day. By the time you woken up, He had tweeted something that had pissed people off. And in between, there was chaos and craziness from both the Trump side of things and from the media. But the first thing, as everybody's like, I just looked around. I said, man, this is what it is right here. This is how it rolls. This is what goes on. I said, so I told my wife, I said, their first thing they're doing is they're scanning Facebooks as soon as they found out who the guy was. Twitter, is he a part of anything? Is there a group that he's associated with that somewhere there's a Trump banner so we could say it's his? Now, if there was a Bernie banner, we won't bring that up. So I don't, look, the guy is obviously an SOB and he's sick and he needs to go away for a very long time, probably get put down. Was it because he was a sex addict? No, but they're going to do all the investigations.
U.S. intelligence agencies say that these sort of domestic violent extremist attacks could be elevated in 2021 and pose a serious threat to homeland security.
Yeah, it's possible. It's also possible that nothing could happen after January 6th and all the craziness that everybody just looks around and goes, all right, that didn't work. But you don't know. And we'll find out along the way. But the minute there's not something that you can tie back to, unless there's something big where you can make a story out of it, right? Cop gets shot by a man. Man gets shot by cop. What's it look like? By that, I mean, what color are they? Who did what? Were any of them unarmed? Because we don't care if it's a white guy that got shot by a cop. We don't care. If it's a black guy, he's running away. Well, there's a story. If he's African American or somebody and he's shooting at the police officers and they fire back, well, that's not the story. That's not what we want to portray. If it's a white guy running away and he gets shot in the back, well, there's nothing there. It's the frustration. You know what? Just give me the who, what, when, how, and why, and we'll go from there. That's what news used to be. It's not anymore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter tweet, text. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We started manufacturing the vaccine before we really knew it worked. We saved many, many months and millions of lives by doing that. It works incredibly well, 95%, maybe even more than that. It works incredibly well.
Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. We have our freedoms, and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine, it's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works.
Yeah, it works. I've never tell you to get something. It's up to you. Beauty of choice, man. It's so funny because people get all angry when you talk about choice. You don't care about, you know what? Yeah, no, people, if you want to get it, get it. If you don't, fine. When I have the chance, I'll get it. My doctor said, you've already had it, so you can wait a while. It's not really pressing compared to other people. It's all right. That's fine. But I get it. Which one would you get? The old or new technology? I don't know. Whichever one's available. And I've been told, too, I'm only supposed to get one. But then Bill Gates is going to make you be his gardener or whatever, his farmer. Isn't that what because he owns the most farmland in the world, in the country? It's going to be, I'm going to have to go be his gardener? That's weird. But it's misinformation. It's disinformation. People go out there and... First of all, we have confirmation bias, right? So we were just talking about all that stuff. Like that guy goes and shoots all those people. So we need to find out, first of all, what color is he? Why did he do it? Is it because of the COVID-19, is that why he did it? You start, Asian American, Asian crimes, hate crimes are up big time. And so they start breaking stuff down, but it's all about a story. And you got to learn to tell a story, because the most compelling story, not the story that's true, the most compelling story and how it's told is the winner in the world of information and misinformation. And you got a lot of people out there who still doubt this thing.
47% who support the former president say will not try to get the vaccine.
It's breakfast time in Boise City, Oklahoma, and I have this question.
Does anybody in this restaurant think it's a good idea to take the vaccine?
No.
Raise your hand if you think it's a good idea. Anyone here, is it a good idea to take the vaccine? Raise your hand if you think it's a good idea. Not one person here thinks it's a good idea? Complete quiet.
Complete quiet, yeah. Small town. By the way, small town people, little mistrust anyways in a lot of stuff. You're in Boise City, Oklahoma. I'm like, there's a Boise City, Oklahoma? How many people you think live in Boise City, Oklahoma? I'm betting not a lot. Well, totally. There's tons of them. Almost 1,200. Why don't you believe in it? What is it? Well, it's mistrust and misinformation. They go to the parts of the web where they can find the things that tell them what they want to hear, what they already believe. They've got that confirmation bias, and then they start going to there. And, oh, my God, it's easy to do because they're stuck in their ways. They've got some issues with bigger city, bigger things. Right? Like, city people, city folk. You don't think it's true. It's absolutely true. Just like city folk think that everybody who lives in Boise City, Oklahoma, drags their knuckles and their family tree is just a stick. Of course they've got a little mistrust, but it's easier to do now more than ever before to spread that mistrust.
Boise City is where 92% of the voters chose Donald Trump on Election Day.
What do you think about the vaccine? Are you going to take the vaccine?
No, sir.
Tell me why.
Well, I don't trust the government, and I don't trust Biden.
Chad and Misty Hughes are husband and wife. Neither of them plan to get the vaccine.
Just don't want to.
Why don't you want to? If you don't mind me asking.
Because when I take the flu shot, I usually get the flu, so there's no reason to take it.
Are you saying you think you'll get COVID by taking the COVID vaccine?
Probably.
So there it was. Because I get the flu shot, usually I get the flu. Remember, the flu shot, let's go over this again. 50% effective. There's so many variants of the flu, they guess. A and B, which one is it going to be? Which one's going to come at the beginning? Which one's going to come at the end? They put it out there, but what ends up normally happening is it lessens the effect on the flu. You didn't get the flu shot because of the flu. And you survive more often than not, because the flu would be uber deadly. It's deadly now. If we didn't have not only vaccines, but also therapeutics. But it's easy to see how people can mistrust. In my mind, I've had the flu shot on few occasions, and I've gotten the flu. And rather than go an extra step and find out if that is something that can possibly happen based on science and all of the other stuff, I will just assume the fact that they're just giving me something knowing full well that I'm going to get sick.
No matter where we went, enthusiasm for the vaccine wasn't easy to find.
I'm just not going to take it.
I really don't ever get vaccines.
These women are sisters, and they too are doubters.
Why are you doubtful?
They just started rolling them out. Flu can be cured, but still hundreds of thousands of people die from the flu.
Between 50 and 80,000. And they're usually not the flu itself. It's like everything else. The people that die from COVID, the majority of them, overweight, overage. Like 70s. Several comorbidities. This is just the nail in the coffin that exacerbates everything. For a lot of people, they were already going downhill on a slippery slope with roller skates on ice. And now you threw a boulder on their back. But people find their bias. They're all in a group right there, and they found their bias, and they're all affirming what they believe. It's not hard. It's not hard to do. You can get it the other way as well. where everybody thinks you got to stay indoors, put a mask on, even when you're inside. You can go the other direction because it's not about information. It's about affirmation. That's frustrating for a lot of people, especially myself. It's a new report out. And this, I was reading this weekend, and it was a very, very, very long read about misinformation and fake news. It was conducted by the University of Strathclyde, which is in Scotland, for those who know even score. And they wanted to essentially find out if people could decipher whether this was a real story or a false story. Is this baloney or is this real? Is this fake or is this truth? And what they came to find out was pretty simple. If you've got a decently high emotional intelligence, you're more often than not going to find out that the stories you're reading are fake or true and get it right. Also, education level and fake news detecting ability plays a part in it. But also curiosity. That's the one thing when we talk about on the show, I'm not here to affirm anybody. I'm going to give you my take on information and data I have, and data can change, and data can be messed with. That's true. You know that, and I know that. You can screw with the data. So the data you think you got that's real isn't real. But I'm always curious, and I always was a curious kid. Still am as curious. I know the more that I know, the less I know. The more that I get stuff, the more I realize there's a lot of stuff I need to get. People don't do that, though. People now, all they really want is affirmation. And we've become lazy, and we also don't want to search anything out. And part of that is because of our belief system is built up in such a way that if we were to go out and try to challenge some of our belief systems, that means we'd be going against ourselves, and we don't want that because then we'd have to tell ourselves that we were wrong. We'd have to tell ourselves that we had made a mistake. We'd have to tell ourselves that we've been lying to ourselves, and we don't like doing that. That's why we'll go and look in a mirror and go, this mirror always makes me look fat. Really? No other mirror does that? I mean, there are some mirrors that, they're a little distorted. I'm not talking about the ones you go to the fair and stuff, but there's some mirrors you go, you're like, and you're like, well, that one's, supposed to make everything look a little bit bigger, but it's because we don't want to tell ourselves the truth. And if you're serious about finding out the truth, it's not hard to find out. But we've gotten to the point now where even when you find out the truth, we're told by people that we go to for affirmation that place that you went and found the truth out, they're also liars. And that sucks. It does. And it's frustrating. But if you're serious about finding out the truth, you can. Whether it's the vaccine, whether it's immigration, whether it's the stimulus and inflation, whether it's the, Keystone XL pipeline, which is 21 lawsuits going up against Biden for shutting down the project. If you really want to know the truth, you're willing to find it out. Well, look at all the jobs that were lost. Well, how many jobs are really lost? There were a lot of jobs building it along the way that were lost, but how many permanent jobs? Not a lot. So both have some merit in it, but most people wouldn't find out that because most people go, well, there's only 50 jobs lost, not realizing that it was take tens of thousands of people to build the thing. So those jobs were lost along the way because people want affirmation, and it's frustrating. It is. It's frustrating. You can't have conversations anymore because it devolves into screaming and yelling. It devolves into going off on each other. And then you start calling each other names. And then it becomes personal, even more so than that, because then somebody calls somebody a racist or a sexist or a homophobe or something like that. And it goes, and that's why nothing ever gets done. It's the frustration that I think I have so much. Being off the last few days, what I've stayed off. I haven't tweeted. I haven't done any of that stuff. And the reason is pretty simple. I don't want to fight with people. Like people, Craig, and I thank God for him filling in for me the last 3 days, and I appreciate that, Craig. But, I'm getting people mad at me for something he said. And I'm just like, I'm not, well, still, you should know. I shouldn't. It is so frustrating. And being off these few days, I'll tell you what, I just have a smile on my face. I do. You know what? I played some golf this week. Played some good golf, played some crappy golf. Be honest. Well, it was the lie. It was I didn't shoot the ball well. I shot in 82. That wasn't very good. Not for me. I expect more out of me. That was my fault. Didn't putt well. Not because of this or because of that. It's just so amazing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Give it to my dogs every day. They love it. They do. It helps them with their joints. It helps them with all of the things that they're missing because the dog food we get them is good. The problem is it's not meant to be living. And that's what I found out working with Rough Greens is, so you get this dog food, right, that you go and you spend a lot of money on. Sometimes people spend so much money on dog food, and they get it, and they find out, well, the thing's meant to live on a shelf more than it is. It's not fresh. You didn't go out and catch it and skin it and cook it for them. And that sounds gross, Jeff, but you didn't do that. So the nutrients are missing. So Rough Greens is a supplement. It's Canine VitaSmart. Just pour it right on there and just sprinkle it on there. Brings the dogs through the light. It's got probiotics. It's omega-3, 6, 9s. It's got all vitamins, minerals, all the things your dog's missing. And what that does is it helps your dog's immunity, right? So his immune system, especially Doodle, it's ramped up. His arthritic hips and his fatty tumors are virtually gone. He's more mobile and happy and no more joint pain. That's amazing. Do the same thing. Try it yourself. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad. When you do, they're going to send you a bag for free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. Roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Get your free bag of Rough Greens. Rough Greens, make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Well, right now, these kids are coming into that environment of restricted access, kind of semi-bubble environment. Usually when you get to the tournament, the first day or so, depending on when you arrive, you're going to live a pretty normal existence. What I mean by that is you're going to have practice, you're going to have your video sessions, you're going to have your team meals, but your kids are going to be able to go out, walk into town. Your kids are going to be able to see family. This environment's a whole lot more restrictive. But let's face it, the protocol's in place for the safety of everyone involved, and we're having an NCAA tournament. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So NCAA tournament, more like a bubble this year because they're actually playing it. It's so bizarre because we were just talking about this, producer Phil and I, so it's going to be the Lucas Oil Stadium. It's in Indy, as well as Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Hinkle Fieldhouse, Indiana Farmers Coliseum, McKay Arena in West Lafayette, and Simon Skjold, probably said a hall in Bloomfield. And so it's all being done in Indy and in Indiana and Indianapolis. And it's weird because I've got Gonzaga beating Arkansas. I couldn't tell you. I know Gonzaga's probably on paper, if there was the best of three, they're probably going to win this thing easy. But you don't know. I mean, some of these teams have played, some teams have played 30, some teams have played 10. It's what? Yeah. You have no idea what any of these teams are like because some teams have gone on 10, 12-day breaks, even longer, while other teams have played straight through. But it's March Madness, and it starts today. And that always makes us laugh. It's another part of getting ourselves back to normal. Last year, I was the money that CBS and everybody lost last year was massive. And don't think the first second they were thinking, well, we're not going to do that. No, we're going to get it done this year. We're going to get it done. They're young. They'll be fine. We'll play through it. Play through the pain. So I've got the Final Four, Gonzaga, Michigan. Don't know. I think Michigan's pretty good from what I understand. Lloyd, one of our producers here, is from Michigan and absolutely lives for Michigan. When you wear red, because it's like Ohio State. Gonzaga, I know, is probably this is the best team Mark Pugh's had. Arkansas, couldn't tell you. Houston, don't know. It's Elijah wants to play. I don't. Samson still play for him? No, I have no idea. We're going to find out. But I got Gonzaga beating Arkansas in the final, 77-65. We'll see. We'll see how close I get. Kanye's in the news. Now, normally Kanye's in the news. We start thinking to ourselves, what did he do now? Like he's crazy, he's loony, all of those things. His life's a disaster, as one person put it. But how much is he worth? According to the latest data, because of Yeezy and his streetwear empire. So he's got streetwear, he's got the Yeezys, right? The Adidas sneakers, all of this stuff. Anywhere between 3.8 and about 6.6 billion. Billion. Almost 4 billion just with Yeezys alone. Right? Now, let's go on to his music catalog. 110 million. Cash and Stark worth 122 million, according to Bloomberg. And his soon-to-be ex-wife, Kim, she's got her Skims underwear line. Apparently that's estimated at 1.7 billion. Yeah, they're living large. It's a good life. It is. I'm just saying. I'll tell you what it's like when I get there. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It was a year ago jobless claims started surging, and for the past year they have remained historically high. Last week, another 770,000 Americans filed first-time applications for unemployment benefits, an increase from the prior week and the 52nd straight week of elevated filings. A year into the pandemic, the labor market has sputtered. Nearly 10 million jobs lost have yet to be recovered.
Yeah. When are they coming back? Don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think right now, people are trying to figure out exactly what's going on. You have a lot of people out there that are worried about a lot of different things. One of them is, how good's the vaccine? Does it work? People are nervous. And then you've got the political aspect. Don't think that there's not a political aspect, because there absolutely is. It is frustrating. This is not going to be over tomorrow. It's not going to be over in 6 weeks. It's not going to be over in 6 months. It looks like this thing is endemic, not pandemic, meaning it's going to be here. It is going to be here, not going anywhere. So you brace yourself for that. Most people are like, well, that's fine. What do I need to do? Vaccine, okay. Go get that. But I want to get back with my life. That's the problem right there. Nobody really knows when that is going to happen. And why is that? Because the goalpost moves all the time.
We knew it was going to be bad, but this really has turned out to be just a historic example of what a pandemic virus can do. It's just been a bad time all around. We absolutely need to avoid the urge to say, oh, everything is going great, which it is going in the right direction. But once you declare victory, that metaphor that people say, if you're going for a touchdown, don't spike the ball on the 5-yard line. Wait until you get into the end zone. And we're not in the end zone yet.
Dr. Doom and Gloom, Fauci right there. No, we're not. I think people realize we're not in the end zone. The problem is we don't know where the end zone actually is. We're playing Canadian football, we're playing American football. We're playing Aussie rules football. Why is it we got here to the end zone and all of a sudden the end zone had moved? The goalposts are gone again. That's the frustration. There isn't any kind of succinct message of, hey, once we get to this amount of vaccines that have been put into people's arms, we're going to get our lives back to normal. Everything is going to be open and life is going to be what it once was. Now, that is also predicated on whether or not states are going to get involved in that way. Some states are slowly but surely starting to reopen. Some of that's based also on politics. But the reality of this is we don't know when we're getting off here. We're on the freeway. You've circled something on the map, says look for a blue house over here. That's all we know. And over here is huge. We're going to go out 20 different off-ramps. We don't know where. That's the frustrating part. It seems to move all the time. It seems to go here. And people are also worried about, yes, the vaccine itself. Is it good? Is it not good? Will it work? Does it? Yeah, of course it works. Of course it does. Go look at what the lawyers say. It's all you need to do. If the lawyers sign off on it, it's good to go. Doesn't mean there won't be some issues, but there's issues in everything. If the lawyers say, this is going to be okay, we're good here, then you're like, all right, let's do this. Fantastic. But what about, stop with the whatabouts, all right? Stop the whatabouts. Cases are going to increase the more we get out there. That's going to happen. They're going to increase. The goal is to make sure that our vaccine rate stays above the cases that are out there. That's kind of the thing that you're looking at. You see why Europe is sucking so bad right now? For all of America's failed and look how bad America is. Bleh, all the naysayers. The reality is while we weren't great through this, we also weren't the worst. But when it comes to vaccinating people and getting people needles in arms, we're doing a pretty damn good job. Europe is struggling mightily over that.
Nevada, the latest state to allow everybody 16 and older to get the shot. Mississippi doing the same, hoping to raise its vaccination rates, currently among the lowest in the country. While the national case average is falling, 15 states are seeing at least a 10% increase in the last week, raising concerns about reopening too soon.
But what's too soon? What's too late? For some, it's way too late. For some, it's going to be too soon. Somebody just tweeted something at me, about, Trump kind of told his people to get it kind of, sort of. Like, you got to make it political, but politics is on the menu here when it comes to this damn virus, and it shouldn't be.
It is rather stunning, isn't it, that your political party would make a difference in your decision about whether or not to protect yourself against a life-threatening disease. And yet somehow in our country, that's where we've gotten to.
Dr. Francis Collins there. Yeah. Some of it's political parties. By the way, there are Democrats out there that aren't thrilled about taking this. And there are also Republicans out there that, I'll get it. So it's not always just that. But there's some of it. For sure. And some of it has nothing to do with the vaccine itself and the efficacy and whether or not, it has to do sometimes. Are you telling me I have to do something? Are you forcing me? Because when you try to force, like little kids, right? You force little kids, you try to make them do something. What do they? Push back. They push back. Oh, that's why for a lot of business owners out there, one of the things they're doing is they're like, hey, look, you can mandate that you have to have this, but you're also on the hook. Somebody gets sick, you're on the hook for that. And in a litigious society, people, I don't know if I want to do that. But you can kind of lead them the water and say it's the best tasting water of all, meaning you can incentivize them. Hey, you can take the day off if you get your vaccine, or we'll give you a day or two off. Give you a 3-day weekend. There are ways of going about doing certain things. But when you force people and people feel like they're being forced into this, it's frustrating. And I see the pushback. I do. And in a world where we want choice, it all depends on what side of the aisle that you like that choice. Well, I want a choice to own a gun. Well, I don't think you should have that choice. Well, I want a choice if I should or shouldn't have the baby. Well, I don't think you should have that choice. It's frustrating. It is. Shouldn't be. And if you really want to know if this is safe, do the real homework. And ask your doctor. If you trust your doctor, ask your doctor. Because if your doctor tells you, it's not safe, well, then they go. You went to somebody you trust. But if you're looking for certain answers, which all too often we are, we'll seek out people that will tell us what we want to hear, not the truth. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. IRS giving you a little break.
Yeah, for weeks, lawmakers have been pushing the IRS to extend that deadline to give Americans more breathing room and flexibility during the pandemic. So the new deadline now for federal tax returns, May 17th, giving Americans that extra month. But the IRS is still encouraging people to get it done quickly.
Yeah. Get it done as fast as you can. If you've got, because I have my own business, I get all kinds of 1099s, and some of them are really late, and some of them I've just not even gotten. You have to remind people. And the IRS is far behind, too, because last year was a crazy year.
The new deadline now for federal tax returns, May 17th, giving Americans that extra month. But the IRS is still encouraging people to get it done quickly. Do not procrastinate here. And we are also learning that the IRS is still playing catch up. Sources tell me they are still waiting to process 24 million tax returns since the 2019 tax year.
Think about that. That is a ton that's still out there. Everybody's far behind. Everybody is in a situation because normally, right? People run, they get it. I'm going to get some money back, and and now you don't hear that. Now it's the stimulus. When am I get stimulus money? What am I going to do with it? New poll out. Producer Anthony just sent it to me. Good majority of Americans, about 43 to 45%, depending on where they're planning on putting the money in the bank and just let it sit there because they don't know what's going to happen next. They're not quite sure what's going to happen. There is that kind of weird, kind of foggy, not quite sure if we're going to be reopened. Maybe we are. I've got to take care of some necessities, but which one? I've got to pick and choose. I'd rather just leave the money here at this moment in time. And they're not putting it back into the economy the way that everybody did the first time. That first time people got the checks a year ago, the thought process was, this isn't going to last too long. I'm going to take this cash. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to buy a TV. I'm going to do this. We're going to plan some stuff. And then lo and behold, that 2 weeks became a month. That month became 3 months. 3 months became 6. And here we are a year later. And the last stimulus, people I know that went out and spent that stimulus, the first one, because they thought their business was going to reopen. They were going to have stuff. They went and they spent it on necessities, not goods. So this time it was needs over wants. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Raycon, best earbuds around. Period. Case closed. End of story. This weekend, I put my Raycons to the absolute test over the last several days. I golfed I was telling the guys, probably about 8 to 10 rounds. And, I've been just working on my game, so I'm grinding. I'm also out there. I'll go out a little bit later. It's hot. It's windy. It's cold one day. And I got my Raycons on the whole time. Never once did I lose battery power. Never once did they go out. And even when it was super windy, I just heard the music. And I had a couple phone calls to take. And boom, all I heard was people on the other end of the line. They are the best. And the price is amazing. Start well under $100. There's no wires, no stems. I never have to worry about them falling out. The fit is incredible. And now's your chance to get a pair, too. If you're looking for earbuds and you're saying to yourself, I've had a lot, get these. You get a 45-day money-back guarantee. Put them to the test. Ray J's put these things out there. He gave them to all of his friends in the music industry. He said, try these. They love them. So will you. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Save yourself an extra 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? All right, let's find out what's trending. All right. I do like finding out what's trending. I was always interested. Like, I'll go and see, okay, what's trending on Google? Because Google and Twitter, it depends on how you have your Twitter set up. But, Twitter tends to be the more angry. Like, the searches on Google, when you go and look, you're like, wow, a lot of people are searching for that, even here. So I search in America. What's trending here in the United States of America right now over the last 24 hours? Easter. People are like, when's Easter? St. Patrick's Day, obviously, trended big yesterday. Sean Bradley, the ginormous center. You guys remember him? 7'6", the stick. He was hit while riding his bike with his family, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. And people are just finding out about this. It was a crazy situation. And you're like, wow. And that guy, like, he was, I just remember reading an article, and then, this is back for the internet was huge, but also watching some, now they're prevalent, you can find him everywhere, but he couldn't put any weight on. That was his problem. He was like 7'6", but he was like 80 pounds. He was a skeleton. And it is crazy to think like that. Everything changes. And Disneyland announces official reopening date where you can't do anything. So my uncle went there a couple weeks ago because you could go there. It's so bizarre, right? So you could go there for a while. You could pay to go in, but you couldn't do anything. You could go eat and shop, but you couldn't ride any of the rides. You're like, what? Yeah, but this is now, it is on big time when it comes to Disney. Oh, boy. April 30th, Disney and Disney California Adventure Park are going to be open at limited capacity. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing goes. They're sold out, the limited, they're going to be sold out like that. So it's going to be tough. And it's weird because they want people to come, but at the same time, they also kind of don't want people traveling. But they also don't want Californians to be the only ones there because they don't spend money like tourists. So in that bizarre world of, no, don't come, but yes, show up. I'm not saying you shouldn't or should come. I'm just saying don't. But if you could, that'd be great. Head on over to Twitter. Find out what's over there. Simple. Hundreds of Capitol rioters may not be charged because they weren't arrested that day. So some of them will not be charged. Some of them, I think, were just following people in and they were filming on their phones. I don't think I think that they, believe that the election was stolen and all that. And I don't think they were anything other than just wandering in. Some people are like, no, I think that's kind of it. You see a lot of those. There are some people out there you're like, yeah, absolutely. These people need to be charged big time. Kanye West is also trending because of his net worth that they say put him anywhere between, let's just say what they're saying is $6.6 billion. I'm going to undercut it and say $4 billion. Either way, he's worth a ton of money. Crazy? Maybe. Crazy like a fox? Absolutely. Sometimes you got to be. Right? You go look at Elon Musk. What did he change his name? Did you see that, producer Phil? Did he change his name on his cards and stuff?
I didn't see that, no.
He's like when we come back, I'll tell you what they are. But one of the things, like somebody in his company, is like the master of cryptocurrency. That's his new moniker for Tesla. We'll talk some immigration, too. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So far has suggested that 3 feet is safe if everybody's masked up, right? So that if is critical. And now there's a new study out of Massachusetts that really, I think, drives this point home, that schools that put in a 3 feet rule did just as well, had no more infections than schools that had a 6 feet rule. I've always thought that this was a distraction. This was not the most important issue if our goal was to keep teachers and kids safe. The most important issue is mask wearing, ventilation, testing, and vaccinations.
There you go. Dr. Ashish Shah. Yeah. So now it's 3 feet. Look, so the reality is it doesn't spread from kids to adults the way like the flu does. Like the flu that's the one that is far more dangerous for children. And with adults, this is the way I look at it. If you're going out and you're getting vaccinated, so you're going out and you're going, I'm going to go get vaccinated. And you go get vaccinated. Just go back to the classroom. Let the kids be the kids. But, Chad, they could spread it. It's possible. And that's where the parents of the kids have to go, what am I, what's acceptable, if you will? What's acceptable? Do I have somebody at home that has comorbidities? Is my child in a situation where they could struggle if they got this? They could struggle if they got the flu or the cold because they've got issues? Then you know what? Maybe it's best that they don't come to school. Outside of that, I think especially younger kids, let younger kids be kids. Inside of the classroom, if you want to have a mask up, that's fine, but you're vaccinated. Just go from there. It's 3 feet, it's 2 feet. So my little brother, my mother, I'll just recap this rather quickly. Sister, crazy, lots of issues, had too many babies in a bad way. My mom's adopted them all, so I got like 8,000 brothers and sisters, and they're all young. I got a little brother who's 9. His name's Kenny. We call him Bubba. My mom she wanted to put him in private school. She goes, Bubba needs to be in school. We're going to put him in private school. Puts him in private school. Goes to a Christian private school. They got about 800,000 students, whatever it is. Big, pretty decent size. Like his elementary school size, got about 400 or 500 kids. Not one outbreak. Not one issue. Kids wear masks inside. When they go outside, they don't have to wear a mask, and they can play as normal. There's no 3 feet, no 1 feet. Like, we're just going to do this. We're going to allow this to be. And they clean the rooms really well at night. They do all of the things you're supposed to, taking extra precautions. But they didn't want the virus and that trying to stop it become such a distraction that sending the kids to school was a waste of time. No issues. If you go and you get the vaccine, I think at that point, you've got the vaccine. Now it's just up to the parents. What do you care? For me, I know if Jack isn't going to get, my son's 10. He's not going to die from this. Just the chances are like lightning kind of chances. When you go and you look at the numbers, flu is worse for children than this. So if there's a chance he gets the vaccine down the road, I got zero problems with that. But if not, I'm also totally fine with that. I think some of the kids now are dipped in Purell to the point where it's like, you've got to, you know what? Let's just maybe let them get their knees dirty a little bit. Maybe not wash your hands every 2 seconds. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So we were talking before break. Elon Musk, who was, I don't even, he's just an interesting character. So he has remade his name. So now if you were to go and, like, if you got a business card and you see if you go and look up, because they have to file all this stuff with, all of the powers that be because they're a public company and all of those things. So he's changed his name to Techno King of Tesla. So, and they announced that Zach Kirkhorn, who's the CFO. Now they've made huge investments into Bitcoin. He is now, so this is the CFO of the company. This is the CFO of the company. Like, I am, it's like, oh, goodness me. I am, if you go and look, like because I co-founded our company and we have all these things, but I I'm not the techno nerd. That's my uncle and all the other guys. And I, help out with a lot of different things. But, I'm like, I think I put like seahorse captain, just joking around. Master of seahorses or something stupid like that. But this is a real company that's trading public. Ours is real too. And if we got to be public, I'm just going to be co-founder and just, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I guess but this is CFO of a $1 company. He is now the master of coin. And there was a former master of coin, too. I don't really know. I don't think he's there anymore. So obviously, be prepared when you're the master of coin. Be prepared for what might happen. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Joe Biden is getting, how should we say this, grilled more and more on, hey, you know what? You're doing a pretty darn good job here with the coronavirus. I wish you'd be a little bit more transparent. And the vaccines, we're doing what we're doing. Yay. That's good. That's what we want. But there is issues at the border where he's like, no, there's not. No, there is issues. And this needs to be addressed. Stephanopoulos hit him up.
A lot of the migrants coming in saying they're coming in because you promised to make things better. It seems to be getting worse by the day. Was it a mistake not to anticipate this surge?
Well, first of all, there was a surge the last 2 years, in 19 and 20, there was a surge as well.
This one might be worse.
No, well, it could be, but here's the deal. The idea that Joe Biden said come because I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did.
They're saying this. Do you have to say quite clearly, don't come?
Yes, I can say quite clearly, don't come. And what we're in the process of getting set up, don't leave your town.
The process of getting set up for what? I'm curious. What exactly are you in the process of setting up? Tables? Tell me. I mean, they sent out an edict to all the Border Patrol agents basically saying you guys can't talk, you can't say anything, don't open your mouth, keep your mouth shut. I live in an area between Phoenix and Tucson. My area is the area for people coming here illegally and drug trafficking and coyotes. Part of that is because where I live, to cross through there in certain areas, you're on reservations. And outside of patrolling it, there isn't a lot that the Border Patrol can do. Most of the people that live around me are Border Patrol agents. And they'll tell you, it's like, dude, it's out of control. Never seen it like this. And while there were surges in 19, remember last year, no, because you got there and they were like, oh, wow, that guy was serious, right? Like, not even about the wall, but about making us stay on this side while they sorted stuff out. Yeah, absolutely they were. 100%. And we've got to talk about this. And the baloney of this.
We inherited a government that had allowed the number of beds to shrink to a record low number. So now we have children arriving at these Border Patrol stations and no facilities to house the children. And so we are working night and day to increase that capacity that had been allowed to shrink, to create enough safe beds for the children, to create places where they can stay until we can reunite them with relatives here in the U.S., with safe sponsors for them to stay permanently in the U.S. until they have their asylum hearings.
It's crazy. First of all, the mess is, and this isn't just a Trump thing or a Biden thing, the mess has been going on since the moment that Tip O'Neill and President Reagan said, all right, let's give everybody amnesty. It's a one-time deal and we're going to get on with it. Then it was like, we'll just ignore it. And it's been happening. And happening. And lo and behold, 35 years later, it's continuing to happen and nobody's doing anything about it. There is no solution to this problem because the solution would end the opportunity to make it a problem, to raise money, to get elected, things of that nature. It's crazy. On top of that, you've got these facilities. Remember, Trump was like, "Oh my God, it's Auschwitz, it's Birkenau." They start throwing out like, "Oh my God, it's all of these. It's Treblinka. It's oh my God." Now it's like, shh, don't say anything, nothing. Shh. Why aren't people having the opportunity to see this? Right? Aren't you supposed to be transparent?
We remain committed to transparency. I don't have an update for you on the timeline for access, but it's certainly something we support.
Jen. Hockey. We remain transparent, but no.
certainly seems like there's an element of secrecy here. Why?
I certainly wouldn't characterize it that way. I know there's Border Patrol agents quoted in a lot of your stories, and you speak to frequently, and that's something we support. It's obviously there's a long tradition of coordinating with Department of Homeland Security, but if our policy is keeping people quiet, we are not successful, and it is not our policy to prevent people from talking.
That's a lie. There is secrecy. What's going on? Because now there are camps. It's camp. Before it was like, oh my God, it's just like Auschwitz. Now it's a camp. It's a camp. Before, if it was a camp, it was a different kind of camp. Concentration camp. Now it's camp, summer camp, singing songs. It's crazy. It's nuts. These kids are going on perilous journeys across godforsaken land where people can take advantage of them. And was just like, Even Democratic leaders on the border are saying, yeah, you need to come here and look at this. I don't think you're really getting what's going on here.
That have been adopted by the Biden administration that have escalated the number of children coming across the border, where the Biden administration has made it clear that if you are an unaccompanied child, you will be allowed to come into the United States. That means that we need to engage more now than ever before with regard to the human trafficking component. My expectation is today the Biden administration will step up and do its job to address the human trafficking component about this. If they fail to do so, for one, they should answer to Americans why they are failing these children.
Yeah, 100%. Governor Abbott there. This is a nightmare. And if you don't live on the border, it's a story that could be twisted and turned. But if you live on the border, if you're a border state, California, Arizona, Texas, Mexico, right there, like that southwest area where people come in and out. There's a corridor there, right? From, go all the way from El Paso into Tucson, all the way down into the southern part of California. And you find out how nasty this is becoming, how crazy it is. These kids are walking over here. And yeah, they're coming here because they're outright saying it. Well, you pretty much, the old guy was like, no. The new guy's like, oh, come on down. Oh, that's not true.
This is the president who came along with the DACA program. No one had ever done that before, saying he wants to find a pathway for the 11 million undocumented in the United States of America. This is the president who's done a great deal. So I'm proud to have served with him. What I would do as president is several more things. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Well, they're coming. And they're coming. And by the way, DACA was not 11 million people having a pathway to citizenship. It was undocumented, probably about 2 million. And that 11 million number is a joke. If we all knew the real number, I think, I don't think so. We have a problem. And will this president deal with it? I doubt it. And while everything else is going on with the coronavirus and all is said and done, we're going to look back and go, wow, this is completely out of control. And nobody was paying attention except for the crazy right-wingers. Well, we should all pay attention. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, tweet, text. Rough Greens. Give it to all of my critters, actually. You guys know about Winston, my big, giant Cuban rock iguana. I sprinkle it on some of his food. He gets all the nutrients and stuff, but you know what? It doesn't hurt anything. But my dogs love it. My puppies, I give it to my puppies. So my puppies are crazy, first of all. Just want to say that. Does not fix crazy. But I want them to be healthy. And I want them to live a long time. One is 2, the other one's just turned 1, and they're bouncy and they're happy, and I want to keep them that way. The food that we get, it's good food. The problem is I didn't realize it was, it's meant to sit on a shelf. So it doesn't have anything living in it. So Canine VitaSmart, I just sprinkle it on, and it gives you all the things that your animal is missing in that food. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and it helps with my older dog. It helps with his joint pain, his mobility. His health is 1,000 times better than it was a year ago. Put it to the test. Rough Greens wants to send you a bag for free. It's simple and easy. You go to roughgreens.com/Chad. You're going to get a free bag. You pay for shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MY-DOG-77. 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens. Make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Even the Garbage Pail Kids.
A Garbage Pail Kids controversy. Cards depicting the K-pop group BTS have been pulled. They showed the Korean singers in a whack-a-mole game with bruised and battered faces. The title, Bopping K-pop. The cards come at a time when hate crimes against Asians in the U.S. are on the rise. Topps, the company that makes the cards, has apologized and says the BTS cards have been removed from the set. The new Garbage Pail Kids line was inspired by the Grammys and also feature parodies of Taylor Swift, Megan Thee Stallion, and others.
Oh, they shouldn't do that. That's not very nice. Car State should. Well, it's not very nice, right? They called it the Shammy Awards sticker collection. Harry Styles. If you really want to show that, you should show them broke, hungry, living a life under a microscope, being weighed. If you guys have known nothing about K-pop and J-pop, it's a franchise. Essentially, BTS is a franchise. I don't know. I think there's like 10 guys in it, like 8. It's like a choir. But it's a franchise. It's not like, so when you see, like the stories of NSYNC and New Edition, of course, go back to Michael Jackson stuff, but even in the newer generations, when they were really putting together these boy bands that we would recognize today, right? New Kids on the Block. Put together by somebody who's like, I got an idea. Spice Girls. Here it is. This is what it's going to be. We're going to put them together. Well, K-pop and J-pop have taken it to a whole new level. Like crazy level. Where they weigh you. I mean, it's like you're in a dormitory setting. Like you're training for stuff. And that's why they have when you go and look at how many of them just lose it. Suicide, it's crazy because you're essentially, your entire persona is owned by somebody else because it's a franchise. Was this the right thing to do? Well, in this day and age, I don't even know how you get away with the Garbage Pail stuff. Like, because Taylor Swift is like, oh, I'm a woman, you shouldn't do that. Or Billy, that stuff, it's crazy because you can't say anything anymore without somebody taking it in such a way where it's parody is out the window. That's why, like, Rick and Morty get away with so much crazy stuff, because the stuff they hate or do things to are things that don't really exist. So you're like, well, that's not real. Maybe that's what it's got to be from now on. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When can people plan an indoor wedding?
I think that's going to be within a reasonable period of time. I can't give you that exact date because it's going to absolutely depend on the level of infection in community. If we keep going down and get to a very, very low level, when we're there and we have a good proportion of the people vaccinated, I think you're going to see weddings in the normal way that we've seen it within a reasonable period of time. But there's always the caveat that it's not going to happen if all of a sudden you have a surge.
There's never anything that comes out of his mouth where you're like, oh, okay, that seems hopeful. It's always like, never. You never know what's going to happen. It could happen tomorrow, could happen the next day. It's always about the mutations.
We can counter that in two ways. One, by vaccination, maintaining the immune response against wild type, either by continuing to get a good quarter of vaccinations or boosting potentially in the future. Also, and finally, as always, to continue to implement the public health measures in the forms of masks, distance, avoiding congregate settings, and washing hands.
There you go. That's what we can do. Carry on. Some states aren't, obviously. Some states are like, we're done. We can't do this. We're not going to do this. This isn't livable and workable anymore. People need to work. People need to live. People need to do things that they would normally do. Kids need to go to school. It's been a year. I know. We've got the vaccine now. And the vaccine seems to be working pretty darn good. But every time you hear Dr. Fauci, it's about, the mutations could be worse. Get it. Go in your car. Hide. There you go. We'll come get you when all is said. People are frustrated. And it's these bizarre kind of weird, like, I can't give you an answer. No, you can. And I'm not asking you to be 100% right. What I'm asking you for, though, like, March Madness starts today, right? Could you imagine Fauci with March Madness? Who do you think's going to win the tournament? I can't give you an answer. But no, you have to. That's the whole point. I would think maybe the team that scores the most points, but you never know because another team can score more points. And I don't know if that's true, but there could be a mutation of the basketball that could score more points. But at the end of the day, maybe with the team with the uniforms, but on the other side, they could have different uniforms and they could score. And it's a possibility of other things for maybe, and you don't know. He's like, no, I have no idea. I have no idea. You ask me, I'll tell you right now. I got Gonzaga, Mark Pugh's best team. I got them beating Arkansas. Don't know. I don't even know who plays for Arkansas. I went completely, I couldn't tell you who's going to win this March Madness, but I gave you a pick. May not be good. My bracket will be destroyed. Some teams have played 30 games. Other teams have played like 6. They went 49 days between games. I couldn't tell you. But I gave you a pick. I'm not asking for perfection. What I'm asking for is a little bit more than this kind of nebula. I'm not quite sure. Maybe. You don't know. We're not there. You could be. Then here we go. And then I'm over here. And then look at me.
We knew it was going to be bad, but this really has turned out to be just a historic example of what a pandemic virus can do. It's just been a bad time all around. We absolutely need to avoid the urge to say, oh, everything is going great, which it is going in the right direction. But once you declare victory, that metaphor that people say, if you're going for a touchdown, don't spike the ball on the 5-yard line. Wait until you get into the end zone. And we're not in the end zone yet.
We don't know where the end zone is. We don't. We're unfamiliar with this game that you're playing. Is it American football? We're playing Irish football. Is this Aussie rules? Canadian football? We don't know. The end zone keeps moving. Am I supposed to kick it through the center of those 2 uprights or the 3 uprights if we're playing Aussie rules? We've got the goalposts at the beginning of the end zone, the CFL. And that's 25 yards. It's insane. You tell me. They're the 55-yard line. Stop moving the end zone. I'm not asking for perfection. I don't think anybody is. But what we are asking for is just some clarity. When do you think it might happen? I don't know. Dr. Scott Gottlieb.
Look, I think we're going to be getting together long before July. I think the majority of Americans are going to be getting together long before July. And I think we should be giving public health advice that is in line with where people are. And people are, when they feel the risk going down and people feel the risk declining because they've been vaccinated, because they see infection levels going down in many parts of the country, they're going to be willing to take more risks because they sense that their vulnerability is declining. And you know what? They're right. And so people are going to be out this summer. They're going to be out well before July.
Yeah, they're going to be out because they need to. Our 15 days of slowing the spread to flattening the curve to everything in between. People are frustrated. People are angry. And people are confused. They feel that their local officials have let them down. They feel that the federal side of things, whether it be Trump or now Biden, because it's his show now, have let them down. They feel like they can't get a straight answer, and they look up and they see the CDC and they see all of these other things, and they're frustrated because they think, oh, this thing just changes all the time. It seems to change like that. And then on top of that, the local officials. And I'm not even just talking about like the mayor. I'm talking city council. I'm talking about like school boards and all. People are frustrated. Nobody's looking for perfection, but we are looking for some clarity. I think everybody would understand, oh, my God, we got this, this Antarctic COVID that just showed up here. We don't even know how it got here. But it's here now, and it's super deadly. We're like, okay, well, you didn't see that coming. Nobody did. But every time you talk about a mutation or a new variant, this one's worse than the one before, that's worse than the one before, that's worse than the one before. It just feels like it's a never-ending story. And it's not that movie, The Never-Ending Story. La, la, la. That's Lamal, by the way. That's lead singer Kasha Gugu singing that song. And why does it matter? Because everybody's making their decisions based on a stimulus check that you may get. Who knows when that will be? Whether or not your job will or won't be around, or whether or not the hours you used to have will be there. What are your necessities and wants? Your wants are pretty much out the window for a lot of people. Your necessities, well, you're choosing. What do I do now? What do I pay first? Do I pay a little bit on everything? Do I pay one thing? That's frustration.
It was a year ago jobless claims started surging, and for the past year they have remained historically high. Last week, another 770,000 Americans filed first-time applications for unemployment benefits, an increase from the prior week and the 52nd straight week of elevated filings. A year into the pandemic, the labor market has sputtered. Nearly 10 million jobs lost have yet to be recovered.
Yeah. Industries are destroyed, and for some of them, it's going to take a while to come back, and some industries may never come back the same. Some industries are going to come back completely different, change forever. Some of it will be good, and a lot of it will be bad, and that you're starting to see that in the financial side of things, too, for individuals, as well as small businesses, because that effect, like that delayed effect. So we had that surge after Christmas and Thanksgiving, and people got together, and it wasn't coming from bars or clubs. It was coming because people were meeting and hanging out, and they were traveling. And then we had that surge. Oh, God. And what ends up happening? We had a big spread again. It was nasty. Everybody's like, ah. Now you're seeing the same thing as it's kind of been delayed. And now the financial side of things are really starting to take off as far as the downturn. More and more small businesses and individuals are starting to file for bankruptcies, and they're not quite sure when anything's coming back. Little clarity. Doesn't need perfection, but it can't always be a Debbie Downer or a Donald Downer. I don't want to make anybody upset. Or a non-gender downer. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Do love hearing from all of you. And then on top of all of that, you've also got the nightmare at the border, even though he says it's not a nightmare, Biden. The reality is it's a nightmare.
The head of Homeland Security squaring off with lawmakers on the growing influx of migrants and unaccompanied minors to the southern border. Mayorkas doubling down, telling a House committee the border is not open, echoing what President Biden told our George Stephanopoulos.
Do you have to say quite clearly, don't come?
Yes. I can say quite clearly, don't come and what we're...
The president also saying the U.S. is working on ways to allow people to apply for asylum from their country, hoping to deter them from making the dangerous journey.
Yeah, and that's the way it's supposed to be done. That's the way things are, that's the way it's supposed to be. Usually when you're looking for asylum, the first safe haven you get to, right? So if you're escaping somewhere, the first place you land. So let's say you're escaping a civil war, right? In Myanmar, or you're getting out of there and you land in Canada. You want to come to the U.S., but you land in Canada, so with there you have to apply there. We have this weird thing where it's like, come on here, apply here, stay here, hang out here, and we'll get back to you. It's nuts. We have a problem. You can say, oh, don't come here, but you really haven't. You could say, oh, it's not because of me, and you could blame the past administration. But the people are going, yeah, pretty much he says to come here. He's giving away, citizenship, it looks like, at least trying to. So what do you think that's going to be? And for families who are understanding now that the whole thought process is if your kids can get there, that you're going to eventually be invited there, what do you think people are going to do? They're willing to do that. Something needs to be done. It won't be because neither side really want to fix this because there's just too much money in it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Raycons. I've got my Raycons. I wear them all the time. I play golf a lot. I've really gotten back into golf like you could not believe. I don't think people really understand. I play a ton. I think in the last 5 days, I've probably played 8-10 rounds, maybe more. And my Raycons with me every time. Only charged them once. No wires, no stems, none of that stuff. I go out in crazy conditions. Some days it's really, really warm. Some days it's really windy. The other day, it was like 25, 30 mile an hour gust. It was crazy. Yet, I heard everything I was supposed to. I had to make phone calls. All the people heard were me talking, and I heard them. The best sound quality, the best design, and the best fit you're going to find in earbuds. No wires, no stems, 6 hours of talk time. Now's your chance. Take advantage. Start well under $100. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Opponents of the economic lockdowns promised it would be just 15 days to flatten the curve. Instead of 15 days, the lockdown has now gone on for over a year. Early on in the pandemic, as we all remember, there were projections that hospitals would be full and have to turn away people. Medical equipment was in short supply. Businesses were closing. What they hoped would be on a temporary basis as governments started locking down their economies and telling people to stay home. At that time, when programs like PPP were created, no one was under the belief that we would still be doing this a year later with no end in sight.
Rand Paul, he's right. He's absolutely right. It's true. And I keep saying this. He says it. We just heard Fauci. I can't really tell you, not going to tell you, but if we do this, if we do that. And then the minute you hear that, right, he comes out, right? He's, oh my God, if we do this, if we do that, then all of a sudden, but there could be something else. And you're like, ugh.
The PPP program was devised as an emergency stopgap to keep businesses running and people on payroll at their job instead of having to be laid off. It's been a year now. The virus is in full retreat. Hospitalizations are declining rapidly. Vaccines have been rolling out since December. Instead of touting these incredible successes and offering people hope, governments keep moving the goalposts.
Again, he's right. And people are frustrated. If you give me a target and you tell me this is what we need done, at least I know. If you move the target all the time, or you feel like that everything is negative, first people get frustrated, then they get frustrated more and push back, then they do the thing that's even worse than all of those things, which is just stop paying attention.
What we have learned is that this continued stream of money from Washington has encouraged way too many governors and mayors to keep their economies closed indefinitely. They threaten small businesses with revoking licenses or worse, then demand Washington clean up their mess when the businesses have to shut down for good. We should demand these elected officials stop imposing arbitrary rules and stop illogically picking winners and losers. We simply can't keep printing and borrowing trillions of dollars when the best thing we can do to provide relief now is to simply reopen the economy.
Yeah, ain't no argument here. I think we could have worn masks. I think we could have social distanced. I think people could have got over themselves. But then we turned it into more of a political fight than ever before, and it became a nightmare. And the lockdowns became just forever. It feels like. And it shouldn't have been. And so much of this money that is in this is going to states. And yeah, you've had no tax revenue because you shut everything down. And because you shut everything down, you've had no tax revenue. You got to go to daddy essentially, or mommy, or non-gender specific parental person, and get a bailout. People want to work. T-Rex doesn't want to be fat. He wants to hunt. We're frustrated? Yes. We're going to get there? Absolutely. Should we have been more cautious in certain times? Yeah, you're not going to get an argument out of me over that. But I'm always like that. Right? Like if somebody has a stomach flu, keep them away from me. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't know. Don't want anything to do with them. It's me. But at the end of the day, we got to get back out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Got a poll question up. Touch on that. And should we be worried about this? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The world's once insatiable demand for gasoline is unlikely to recover to where it was before the pandemic, says a report from the International Energy Agency. Gasoline use cratered during the pandemic as cities shut down and many people began working from home. The report says that trend will likely continue as normalcy returns. Also a factor, many governments have been pushing for low-carbon alternatives. And though developing countries will use more oil and gasoline, that'll be offset by consumers and automakers shifting to electric vehicles.
Yeah, that's happening. And you know it if you're at the pump. Producer Phil, you guys out there in D.C.-ish area, you're kind of on par with what we are. I paid $3 for gas today. What did you pay normally?
$2.75, and it's gone up 40 cents in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And if I'm in town, so I live, it's really weird. I live outside of town. Like I say, I live between Phoenix and Tucson. We have a house out there. And we have pipelines. And so the truck stops right by where I get on. They're pretty cheap comparatively. They're always about 15, 20, 30 cents sometimes cheaper than here. Here, right now in Phoenix, I mean, I would have paid $3.50 today for gas. Like California prices. Nuts. It's crazy. It's gone up tremendously. That hurts people in the pocket. That's money that you don't think about. But if you drive a bit, you start to realize, well, it cost me X amount of dollars to fill up. You do that 3 or 4 times a month and you're on a tight budget, it starts to add up. It does. Little things like that we don't see start to slowly but surely add up. And I don't know if people are going to go back to work the way that we were. I don't think so. I mean, even here, where I'm at, the station I'm at. So I have my own little area and space, and then I do another show, a local show here in Phoenix. And so I go on the other side where, you know, we have several studios, and that's where all the stuff is. Well, normally we'd have 30, 40 salespeople. Now it's like we're going to start to we're going to have them come in 1 or 2 days a week, and the rest of the time they're going to work from home. We may just go like that, and we may lease out the rest of the building. The problem is, who are you going to lease it to? Because everybody else is looking around going, And depending on what report you're looking at, it's anywhere between 25 and about 50% of people say, if I have to come back to the office full time, I'm finding a new gig. Because they've enjoyed working out of their house. If they're capable, older generation struggles more than a younger generation. Younger generation has grown up in a gig economy. They've grown up in an economy where, you know, piecemealing your stuff, having 2 or 3 gigs is okay because I got some freedom, this, that, and the other. They've grown up in a technological world where everything is about tech, so you don't need to be in a specific place. An older generation, they like doing things like getting up, having a routine, and going to work and doing the things, I'm going to dot this I, I'm going to cross this T, and this is what I like to do. I'm very routine regiment. Even with the time off now, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I still missed some of my routine. But I also worked out of the house for a long time when I was just strictly doing voice work. I worked out of the house for a long time, man. You could go crazy. You got to treat it like a business. Some people haven't been able to. And I think a lot of that's the older generation. Younger generation, a little bit easier to do. But when you look at gas, and we're not going to be heading in that gas direction anymore. We want lower admissions, right? We want more gas mileage. We want to get as many people as possible off fossil fuels. This is kind of where it's headed. So if you still got one of those cars that runs, which is most people, you're going to be paying a little bit more. The upside is traffic doesn't suck like it used to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. Have a question up at Twitter. Simple and easy today. Stimulus. Majority of Americans right now are saying that in some way, shape, or form, they're going to save their money rather than spend it, whether they put it into an investment account or just keep it in the bank. What are you going to do with yours? 20% say pay for necessities. 40% say save it. 16% say invest it. And about 23% saying, I'm going to do several different things with it. Spend it on, some people, cryptocurrency seems to be really big. Some people say guns. Somebody said new AC unit. So what would you do with yours? What are you going to do? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. This right here is what we need to pay attention to. We have talked about it. We've had Gordon Chang on numerous occasions. I never worried about Russia. I don't worry about North Korea. Right? I don't worry about any of that. But I've always said China. China. You need to worry about China. China's playing for keeps. China's playing full contact. China is Clubber Lang and we're Rocky. And we're not paying attention.
Do you know who doesn't care that there's a stereotype of a Chinese man in a Dr. Seuss book? China. All 1.4 billion of them could give a crouching tiger flying because they're not a silly people. If anything, they are as serious as a prison fight. We all know China does bad stuff. They break promises about Hong Kong autonomy. They put Uyghurs in camps and punish dissent. And we don't want to be that. But it's got to be something between authoritarian government that tells everyone what to do and a representative government that can't do anything at all.
Yeah, but there isn't. Not right now. China is playing to win. It's not a race thing. This is what China sees itself as. And if you want to talk about a race thing, they see themselves as superior to everybody. They're in this to win this. That's the reality of it. They're in it to win. They don't care about all the other stuff. They play full contact. We're fighting over the dumbest things in the world, trying to be woke and trying to do all these things. They're in to win.
In 2 generations, China has built 500 entire cities from scratch, moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals. Their new Silk Road initiative is the biggest infrastructure project in history, indebting not just that continent, but large parts of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East to the people who built their roads, bridges, and ports. If you want to go anywhere in the world these days, you better have a yen for travel.
He's right. We've talked about it. Well, everybody else is sleeping on it, and they're worried about Russia. China is here. Now, Mike Baker, CIA agent, former CIA agent, said, look, they're further behind, but there's a long game. They're in 2049 initiative. You can go look at it, what it is. And my buddy about 5-10 years ago, a friend, Edgar Muller, and he flies for large airline. And he brings me back this poster that he got. And it shows different decades of this plan. And essentially, after it gets to a certain level, it's China is dominating the world. That's what we're up against. They steal. They don't care. They'll steal everything and figure out, hey, we'll reverse engineer it. If you want to do business with them, because we yearn for the cash, we're willing to give up something. And we're selling our souls. And they're stealing everything. They're stealing everything. And it's crazy. And but you can't say anything. Oh my God, Chad, you can't, like the Wuhan debacle, right? The COVID-19. It's a nightmare. You really think China was above board on everything? Honestly? Do you think that in any way, shape, or form they were actually above board on any of this stuff? No. Because they're about protecting China. They're about protecting, like we talk about the NFL, protect the badge, right? Protect it. They're about winning, period.
On a national level, we've been having Infrastructure Week every week since 2009, but we never do anything. Half the country is having a never-ending woke competition deciding whether Mr. Potato Head has a and the other half believes we have to stop the lizard people because they're eating babies. We are a silly people. Even when we all agree on something, like getting rid of the penny. No. The graft, the lawyers, the cowardice. Nothing ever moves in this impacted colon of a country. We see a problem and we ignore it, lie about it, fight about it, endlessly litigate it, sunset clause it, kick it down the road, and then write a bill where a half-assed solution doesn't kick in for 10 years.
He's right. We'll try to get Mike Baker on next week, but he talks about China and their want to win, and that the long game they have is simple. They'll send a kid over here to go to high school and college, to live here, essentially forever. Send him through undergraduate school, graduate school. They'll get several jobs, and it may take them 15, 20, 30 years. But then they'll come calling one day because you're essentially working for the Chinese government and say, we need you to do something for us. They're in this to win this. Nobody holds them accountable. Biden isn't going to do it. Trump kind of tried to do it, more so than anybody else. But we need to. We need to get serious. We need to get serious because they're going to kick our ass otherwise. It's still a ways down the road. It ain't tomorrow. And militarily, we're well ahead of them. But they're trying.
They made robots that check a kid's temperature and got their asses back in school. Most of our kids are still pretending to take Zoom classes while they watch TikTok, and their brain cells slowly commit ritual suicide. There's a progressive trend now to sacrifice merit for equity. Colleges are chucking the SAT and ACT test, and in New York, Mayor de Blasio announced merit would no longer decide who gets into the schools for advanced learners, but rather a lottery system. You think China's doing that?
No. There's a reason they call it Tiger Mom, Tiger Dad. They're playing for keeps. We're trying to be equitable and fair and nice, and they're playing to win. And there's places for some of those things. But we got to figure this out.
You think China's letting political correctness get in the way of nurturing their best and brightest? You think Chinese colleges are offering courses in the philosophy of Star Trek, the sociology of Seinfeld, and surviving the coming zombie apocalypse? Those are real, and so is China, and they are eating our lunch. And believe me, in an hour, they'll be hungry again.
He's right, and we need to do something. We need to be strong. And yeah, every once in a while, we need to be Richards. And every once in a while, we need to also face the facts that it is, maybe a meritocracy is a good thing. It's good to help. It is. It's good to be equitable. Absolutely. But we've also got to be real. And we don't want to. And if we dare bring it up, of course, you're racist, you're evil, you're bad. Just being honest. They're playing for keeps. We better figure it out before it's too late. Because as the battle goes on who gets to be that beacon on the hill, it's us or them now. And they're willing to say, do anything to get everybody else to jump on their side. And by the time you get there, it's too late if you try to leave. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And by the way, that shop is the shop that you choose. They get them paid directly. Maybe your car's a little bit newer. Maybe your car's a little bit older. Maybe you're worried about the electronics in your car. They got a plan that's right for you. Some of those sensors, like I had a couple sensors went out and had them replaced, and they had to take out like the dashboard. Maybe your car's a little bit older. You don't have any of that, but you are worried about the engine. Car Shield has a plan that's right for you. Plan starts as low as $99 a month. Find out what they can do for you. It is simple and easy. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. When you do, use code Benson. You know what that does right there, kids? Saves you 10%. Or, better yet, you can give them a call. And when you do, remember to use code Benson. 800-665-2157, 800-665-2157. Mention code Benson, saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
It's a big day for comic book fans.
I need warriors.
The long-awaited director's cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League premieres today on HBO Max. And Snyder says the 4-hour film is pretty much the original first cut he finished in 2017.
When I finished it, I said, oh, well, no one will ever see this movie. It's 4 hours long. It's not an option.
Snyder left the film before completing it, though, after the death of his 20-year-old daughter. Joss Whedon took over and made significant changes. Fans have been clamoring for the Snyder cut for years.
Yeah, so 4 hours of this. I don't know. I don't think I can do 4 hours of it. It wasn't something about, like, Marvel knows what they're doing. Whenever I watch DC, it just feels like one is made for television and the other one's made for the theaters. DC just doesn't have that. They get the stars. Like Batman, it felt totally different. But you watch DC and it feels brighter and there's more pop to it. You know, I mean, Marvel, and you look over DC and it's just, why does Batman talk like this? Why can't you just talk like this? Hey, what's up? It's me, Batman. Because it seems cooler if he talks like this. I'm Batman. DC talk like this all the time. Hey, guys, I'm hungry. Are you? Yeah. Aquaman was good. I like that. Did not like Wonder Woman. The last Wonder Woman sucked. It did. It's not very nice, Chad, because you hate women. No, it just sucked. You know what I like? Stuff that's entertaining and good. That's it. I don't care what it is. If it's entertaining, like look at the Oscars. I don't know any of these movies. And now, granted, they didn't release a ton of stuff like they thought they were going to, but still, this probably would have been a majority of the stuff that you would have seen. And it's like, at some point, stop trying to be woke and start going, hey, I'm here for entertainment. I'm here for entertainment. Not everything has to be woke. It doesn't. Thor's a woman. Captain America's now gay. It's like, oh, look, I don't care. First of all, Thor's not a woman. So let's just all be there. Whoever holds Thor's hammer, Thor's not a woman. She's not. Like Wonder Woman is not a guy. Identifying as Wonder Woman. She's not that way. Are you going to have Wonder Man? He's right now. Who's a sidekick? It's Wonder Brad. It's silly. It is. Entertaining is all that matters. Can you make it entertaining for the masses? Or are you making a movie for critics? It's also the other question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Simple and easy. Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. Start doing more of that. She's been swamped over the last month or two. A lot of other stuff. Some more lives on Facebook and other things coming. You guys have a great day. It's great to be back. Thank you, Craig, for filling in. Man, I get used to these 2-day work weeks. Speaking of that, I see Friday. Night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.